Okay, looks like we're back. Let me go ahead and post the updated link here on SoCal Guild Ball. And let's go SoCal Guild Ball. Let's go here. All right, so let's see. Let's see who is. I'm pretty sure Callan will hop on here in a minute. Whoa. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we got this. Where's my There's a picture. Okay, good. Welcome back. Sorry it took a few minutes to move all this stuff next door. We're in my we're actually in we're right next to the router now, so there really should be no more issues with this. So I'm just gonna adjust my screen here. I really need a decent computer for this room. All I did was I just brought the laptop over with the camera and the microphone. Hopefully my audio is still good. And the good news is we're not doing any painting tonight, if you can call that good news. So we can just talk Guild Ball, right? Callan should be hopping on soon. And let's just keep going here. Okay, so once again, here's what I was talking about. This is my Fun Union team. And I've played a few games with them so far, and they're really fun. I just did not expect that to be very fun. When you tell me, like, one of the things that one of the reasons why I was attracted to the Masons, playing the Masons first, and why audio is better than before dropping out. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, not dropping out. Got it. Okay, good. So audio is better, video hopefully better. Lighting not as good. Let's see if I can crank the lights on in here a little bit more. No, that's as high as they go in this particular room. Okay. What I do with that? I had a snack. I need to munch on something. There it is. Still a little munchy here. Late at night. I really shouldn't be snacking on stuff late at night, but I don't know. It's kind of hard not to. We'll see if Callan hops on. And we'll see who the natural or my I can share this, right? Yeah. I can share this video on let's share this on Twitter feed. There we go. So tweeted that. There we go. And let's move along here and talk about this Funyun team. So North Side. Hey, what's up, Adam? All right. So like I was saying before, if it actually showed up on the feed or not, the team, one thing that sticks out with in this team is you don't have a lot of big guys. So you don't have a tank in here. You've got some good defensive tech here, and I'll get to that and how that actually makes this team a lot better than it seems on paper. So you got that. The other issue that sticks out immediately is you have some players that are all kind of filling the same roles here. Okay, let me explain that for a minute. If you were to take the starter set out and just talk about the two models that I started this team with, Snakeskin and Mist, what you have here with these two models is you have ball handlers. Okay, but they're ever so slightly different. You have you've got kind of a pure striker model here with Mist, and then you have a like a defensive ball handler with Snakeskin. So you've got so both models are good ball handlers. One I would consider more like scoring focused. The other one has a kind of defensive tech to make her want to hold on to that ball for a while. But the main issue that you'll have with these two is they can be influence intensive when you want to run them. And so my experience so far has been you kind of want to focus on one or the other depending on your particular situation. So on paper, you don't want to put these two on the same lineup, but I'm kind of making it work just because, again, this team is kind of hodgepodge and for fun. Hey, what's up, Demon Jester J? So we'll start there. Hey, what's up, Callan?
What's up?
Hey, I had to shut off the other feed and then like run over to the other room and hardwire myself into my router because I'm having some Wi-Fi issues.
Ah, gotcha.
Which is weird. I get that whenever it's warm, like when the weather is warm for some reason, my Wi-Fi just goes to crap. And I don't really understand what that's about. But that's a normal thing. And so I'm in the other room. I'm not doing any painting tonight, unfortunately. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't have any Guild Ball to paint. So I'm sad panda right now. Very sad.
I'm almost soon to join you. I have like 5 models left, and then I'm out of stuff to paint. I'm painting them slowly.
But I'm gonna assume that you pre-ordered stuff when the captains came out, right?
Yeah. So
and,
I mean, like,
hunters.
Yeah. So Hammer is actually one that I don't have that I'm eagerly waiting to pick up for Masons, because Masons was one of my starting factions along with Morticians. I love the letter M, and so those are kind of my 2 go-tos. So I figured I'd get him as well.
Did you get your shipping confirmation already on that?
Yeah. So I have.
Nice.
Yeah. I should be getting it soon.
Nice. Yeah. So last night I was saying I was trying to I was doing everything within my power not to buy anything at Comic Quest now that they have stock.
Yeah.
Because I really don't need another team, especially while I'm waiting for
hunters.
And my captains and all this.
Okay. Yeah.
Minis look awesome. Thanks, man. That's great. I'm glad they're actually coming in. I know the other feed they looked really fuzzy. So
no, they look great. I actually love your snakeskin. I'm actually kind of in love with it right now. I love your colors, and I love the shading on it.
Yeah. So I bought this model because one, she fit. She can go on Masons and Alchemists.
Yeah.
And 2, I just absolutely love this model. I just the energy, everything, the pose, and what I started painting it without any preconception of what color it would be. I really just started. I airbrushed kind of this like this off gold color.
Yeah.
And then just painted whatever I liked. And I was like, yeah, it's not going to look like a quote unquote snakeskin or even a Union model, but it's going to look rad. So, and then I ended up carrying that color scheme over to the rest of the Union, with the exception of Mist, who I'd painted before, who now does not match the team. But that's okay, because I still see him as waiting to rejoin the Alchemists for me.
Mist is Mist is really interesting because it's a model that it's actually like really hard to make it. There's like too much going on with it, and not enough of it's defined. So I feel like you can paint it, but it's hard to make it actually. I don't know. It just feels like it's hard for me to actually make it come out and have stuff stand out, because it tends to blend together because of the way it has like ribbons going everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So But
you
I
know
think
what this model reminds me of, honestly, is it, for you anime fans out there. This reminds me of Gatchaman or Battle of the Planets. If you watched the show in the U.S., so this reminds me of G-Force a little bit. I think it's this shape right there, right on the hood.
Gotcha.
It just reminds me of G-Force, and I was like, man, like if you look at these two models, I could totally paint G-Force with that. That would be amazing. I might have to do that. That's amazing. I don't know. Putting her back together and him and these, you can already see like his tiptoe got thrashed from play. And then hers, this is just like that attachment right there is painful.
Yeah.
Like pinning that in is a painful thing. It's not fun. Hey, what's up, Cameron? Welcome back. So what I was gonna do, because I was talking with Cameron today about and he has a thread on SoCal Guild Ball about some frustration. He's still trying to find his way with the Brewers team, and I was talking with him yesterday about like what he likes to do in the game, and he said like, well, he likes to have a lot of he likes to have a lot of things to do. So if it's like doing damage, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Cameron, just jump in. He likes doing damage. He likes moving the ball around. He likes scoring goals. And I'm like, well, one thing I noticed with people that start as Brewers is the speed of the team, or the lack of speed of the team, can be really, really that can be a painful climb. Especially when you're just learning the game. A lot of people, in my experience, have kind of focused on, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of damage, but it'd be great if I could run downfield and kick the ball, right? With Brewers, you can score goals for sure, but it's a little bit more of a setup. It's a little less intuitive in their play style, and again, with their inherent lack of speed, that can be difficult. So I think. So I was talking to Cameron about like, okay, so for that type of experience, where you want to do a lot, the durability isn't as much of an issue, then there's a number of other teams you could be looking at. Fish come to mind immediately.
Yeah.
Even Butchers, because Butchers are they're not all that sturdy, but there's a lot you can do with them. You can do a lot of damage with them, obviously, but they're actually an underrated kicking team. They can, they've got some strikers in there. And then I brought up this team too, Union, which has been my recent discovery, that this is a team, especially this accidentally awesome lineup, as I call it, Funyun. This team can do a lot within this lineup. It's a good damage lineup. It's a good ball handling lineup. It's not the sturdiest lineup, but it's deceptively sturdy. And I think, hey, what's up, David? And I was going to explain how I consider this to be deceptively sturdy. A lot of that has to do with Blackheart's feat, or Blackheart's legendary. I know we call it feat. And the fact that you have, you've got 4-1 or 5 in some cases, you've got charmed. So you've got some defensive tech in here that is deceptively harder to put down than you might think, especially when you pop legendary.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a message for me real quick. Let me respond to that. Got a new feed going. Okay. Man, I hate. Why does Facebook? I just hit enter. Oh, he. Never mind. He answered his own question, so we're good. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, this is my team. It's not. I wouldn't consider this an optimized team, but it's super, super fun to play. Oh, you're on mute for some reason, Callan. Oh, he's taking a phone call. All Okay, cool. So we're going to let Callan take his phone call. So yes, not an optimal team, right? I'm not giving you guys advice on, oh yeah, this is how you want to run your lineup. This is the lineup that I landed on as a consequence of the teams that I wanted to add Union to. But as it turns out, they're a fun team, and you can actually put together, you can actually string together, some wins with them. I probably wouldn't take this squad to a tournament with the expectation that I'm going to do very well, but they can do very well. I mean, you'll see a lot of teams that are like this that use these 4 models, and then they'll take, they may take Fangtooth for some tankiness in there. You can take, some people will stick Rage in there, just for some added damage. But yeah, this is a good solid core to a team. I don't know. What do you think, Callan?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, so first off, I think that if you're like, you could naturally build a Union team most of the time because you're going to eventually get Union for your guild. And then like the actual Blackheart starter is so good because Decimate and Gutter are 2 super high value Union players. So yeah. Like just when you start with that and Blackheart being a good captain, you're just like, all right, it's hard to make a bad team. Then you add in Coin, who is a 2-inch reach mascot, which I think is ridiculous. Like, I always forget because I'm like, oh, it's a snake. It's like, oh, I guess the snake lunges. A fat snake lunges. I don't know. He hoards coins.
Bag of coffers is ridiculously good.
Oh yes, yeah. Because essentially what you do is you turn him into, instead of a 1-influence mascot, you essentially have a 2-influence mascot. Which most factions, you have that 1 influence. That's all they contribute. Where this is a mascot that can do a lot and has pretty good defensive stats to boot.
You have a 2-influence bonus time mascot.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like crazy awesome.
I was really shocked at how good this starter is. Like I'm of the opinion now that this is probably the best 3-man starter that you can buy. Based on I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Like I said, like I think because the thing is that this starter, like, you mean like this 3-man versus like other 3-man stars if you were to play them against each other, or do you mean like value wise?
Kind of where I'm going with this is like my experience with the 3-man starters is you usually get, when in your 3-man starter, in my opinion, you get your captain, you get usually a really, really good model, and then you get a model that's like, it could end up on my 8, may not necessarily be in the 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perfect example of that would be Masons with like, okay, you're getting Honor and Mallet, which are 2 amazing players, and you're getting Harmony, which is a situationally good player.
Yeah.
With the Butcher starter, you get Ox, and you get 2 reasonably good players in there, but no like huge standout between the 2, between Brisket and Boiler, and that's kind of similar with the Fish too. But I feel that these 3 are just way strong. And
I mean, I think like the only like the power model in Morticians is Obulus. Like Cosset, like you could potentially take her lever. Graves is much maligned, although he has a place here or there. But like they aren't like the power models where you look at like Gutter, and even like post nerf, Gutter's still like, yeah, take her and Fish, take her and like that blew my mind when I realized again that she was Fish the other day. But take her and Fish, take her and Butchers, like she gives you that extra engage, and so it's like really hard to not want to take her in your lineup.
I played Engie's last night for the first time, and I had a hard time keeping her off the Engie's team.
Yeah,
because she's got what Engie's don't have. She has momentous damage. She has reach. She has stuff that engineers without the ball really struggle for momentum, and she's got that ability. And I'm like, man, how do I keep her off my teams now that I started adding her? And I think about that, like, wow, if she had 6-inch reach, holy crap!
Oh yeah,
because I was playing I'm playing post nerf. I had never played her with 6-inch chain grab. I was like, man, that's got to be amazing.
And Decimate even used to be 2-inch reach as well. And Decimate, the thing that Decimate brings to a lot of teams is she actually is a momentous damage threat in teams that normally do not have momentous damage. And on top of that, she's also like a key ingredient to like the Chisile missile or the Mason missile, if you want to call it that. So she really just fits into teams, and she's like that great filler piece because like you might look at your faction and be like, I have no one that deals momentous damage. I need a way to deal momentum besides just dodges or passing or whatever the heck. And this is a model you can put in and also gives you mobility with second wind. And it has anatomical precision. Like they both have just a really good just suite of abilities and stats, and they also have good kicks too between them. Like that's the other surprise. Like, okay, so they're great offensive tools, and they have support abilities and engagement abilities, and they can pass the ball around. Like seems pretty good. So yeah, I would agree. This is like the best bang for your buck.
This may be it. It's my opinion. This is the best. This is the best 3-man starter I think you can for your money, really, because and not just for their abilities, but again, this is Union, so you're going to throw these in a bunch of other squads as well, and they're going to be fantastic. With Decimate, like she started on my Masons team, and and I brought her on specifically for second win. Because I wanted double activation and stupid mobility. Like basically I wanted to run an entire circle around the board, which you can kind of do that with her and superior strategy. But then, you're like looking at your mid to late game, and you've got a legitimate damage dealer in there, like you said. You have a momentous damage dealer in there. You've got anatomical precision. This is a model that you can call on to do a lot of different tasks for you. So that can be hard to overlook. But so just starting with these three, like the fact that these become the core of any really good Union team these days is saying something. And there's some overlap between these two models doing momentous damage, but that is nowhere near a bad thing. It really isn't, especially when you've got a captain like Blackheart in the middle of that, who is really kind of directing the show here. I bought the starter just thinking, okay, I need these two models. Blackheart's gonna cost me like an extra $5 based on how it's priced, right? So I'm getting a little bit of a discount on a captain that and my whole attitude was, okay, I'm not really gonna play Blackheart, right? And then of course you paint him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's got this guy looks like freaking Genghis Khan, and he's got the blade is just killing me. It's awesome.
Yeah, the ring blade.
Then you've got the really cool cloak and his armor. Like this whole Mongolian pirate look to me, like, okay, yeah, he's a pirate. And when you see that in the book, you're like, okay, eye patch, peg leg, whatever. You're thinking more Corsair type character. But this is like, to me, this is like, Steppe Raider pirate. More like Khan pirate than what you're traditionally thinking. And then you look at, again, I'm coming from Honor to him. So, for example, Honor's a 3-2 defense, which I'm totally used to, and I like the 3-2 defense. Obviously, it has its drawbacks in easy to launch character plays off of, but durable, right? Sturdy. Not sturdy the ability, but durable, I'll say. And so Blackheart's starting 3-2 like that. But then now you're adding 2-inch reach, which is fantastic. And then you've got his legendary, which I talked a little bit about earlier, but we'll bring it back in when we talk about my whole weird lineup here. So Blackheart started off like an Honor type player, and still in some ways the way I play him still kind of resembles Honor. You've got great support abilities, but then you can load him up and you can really rip people's faces off with this trio in particular. This is like a serious bash mob here. And a lot of that starts with his commanding aura, right? Oh, David Love hopped on. What's up? And a few other folks. What are your thoughts on Blackheart?
I think he's really amazing. I think, like you said, is part of tankiness in this game is not just tough skin or tough hide and armor. Like that's typically what you would think about in like the general sense of tanky, but just being able to have, if you have hit points and you have a high defense, that's actually tanky in this game as well, because you reduce the hit pool so much that it also in some cases is a momentum deterrent in a lot of ways. Like you actually stop them from getting to really good momentous results, and they have to start making compromises depending on their playbooks. And that in turn makes you tanky. They deal less damage. They can't get to the higher numbers. They can't do like the guild ball plays. And I think that he kind of ends up being that that really cool MVP kind of captain that like you kind of want on a team that can be mobile and kind of do a lot of things similar to like Obulus or Midas. You could have him do that, but then he also surrounded by these great players that he can just enhance and then have them go to work for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the way I've been using him recently is really get him in, I normally go like 4 to 6 influence on him. Get him into the fray. I'm looking to pull off that commanding aura, which is, I believe it's on 3 for him. Now you can pay for commanding aura with influence. I really haven't found it necessary to do that yet. It's just, for me, it's just easier just to launch an attack, get 3, if you're picking the right target to get your 3, and then put up that commanding aura momentous, and then you can go to town. Now his playbook doesn't have a lot of momentum early in it, but he does have some dodges in it early. So you can play him so that makes counterattacking good with him. Anytime you have pushes, I'm sorry, not pushes, but pushes even. Anytime you have dodges and to a lesser degree pushes in your early in your playbook, then counterattacking becomes a good thing, especially with 2-inch range and the dodges. So he's got a decent defensive playbook early. That commanding aura becomes a really, really nasty thing as the turn winds down. But he's really the guy that kind of sets the stage there for these two to really go nuts. Because once you have commanding aura up, man, I've just been tearing through targets, especially with ignore armor there with anatomical precision, and then Gutter's playbook, which is really kind of built for damage. To add commanding aura to that is rather amazing.
Yeah, commanding aura with scything blows. I think the other thing that's important about his commanding aura too is like Tapper's, for example, like is not momentous, but his is. So that's actually like part of the greatness of his kind of him activating commanding auras. You actually generate momentum out of it. It's not a decision to go the other way. I think Tapper would be a little OP if you did that, just simply because you would also old Jakes off of it, which would be like the greatest setup ever. But in this case, like you actually have the momentum. And yeah, he doesn't have momentum early. He has misdirection in his playbook, which also is kind of like, it's hard to really find a point where you want to spend 4 influence to steal 1. Like some places is clutch, but a lot of times that 4 influence, if it was a tax or something else, is way more valuable in a turn. Similar to Obulus, Obulus will probably never, like he's never going to touch misdirection, partly because he also has Puppet Master. But yeah, I like him a lot. I think that if he uses the turn where he uses his legendary, like being a 4/2 is like a really crazy good stat line. Like that actually makes it really hard to get into.
Right. So we might as well talk about the legendary right now, because what the legendary allows you to do is you can either take it's an 8-inch pulse, and you can either every friendly in it can either take a 2-inch dodge, or you can take +1 defense. And so in the first couple of games I played these guys, I was taking the dodge, thinking I could do, I do this little, which totally reminded me, we totally forgot to talk about his, what's it called? Shadow
Shadow-like, yeah.
Yeah, Shadow-like, which is a huge part of his play as well, because it, obviously that 2-inch dodge at the start of the turn that gives you that extends your threat range, that gets you out of problems that you might have been stuck in prior to activating. So that's a huge thing. Then you have with the feat, sorry, I keep calling it that. War Machine.
Yeah.
With the legendary, everybody can take a 2-inch dodge, and yeah, there's going to be cases where, and I've used it to where I can actually triangulate a goal or something out of it, or get somebody or get some people that are in trouble out of trouble, or to force a crowd out on a critical takeout. So I've used it for stuff like that, but where it's really become powerful for me is to go the other way and take the plus defense. Because like you were just saying, like defense 4-2 is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous stat line. So now let's look at my hodgepodge lineup here. So 4-2, and then we've got 5-1 there, 5-1 here.
Also ridiculous stat lines.
Yeah. You've got 5-1 here on the snake, 5-1, and you've got 6-0, and then you've got what is this, 5-0 with charmed, right? And access to nimble and clone. So if you crank that defense up in the thick of the game, especially when your opponent's thinking, oh, I'm gonna get that takeout this turn, or I'm gonna really lay a hurt on them, that screws up plans in a hurry, and your guys are your squad is really, really tough to take down that turn. I've used it a number of times when I've had gutter, because people love to pick on gutter, because why not, right? I mean, this model's going to give you a headache all game.
Get her off the table.
I'm sorry?
Get her off the table.
Right. I know when I'm against gutter, she becomes a priority for me to get off the table. And so I've used her in turns where she's really low, like 4 or 5 health. Then I hit the legendary. She goes to 5-1, and suddenly it's way hard to get rid of her, because now you're talking, and especially if I have momentum too, because then now I can do counterattacks, I can do defensive stance and all that other stuff. I can go to 6-1 on a defensive stance, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, don't underestimate the legendary on him. And again, comparing him to Honor. With Honor, I like to take the plus influence. With him, I'm going to take the defensive stat. So plus influence over armor. Although I have taken it a couple times. I've taken the armor just to be funny. But usually I take the influence. On him, it's usually going to be the defense.
Yeah, I think there's only a few very niche situations where you'd ever want to take armor. For to stop them from getting maybe it'll it mathematically will prevent them from getting a guild ball play or something that's going to mess you up. But yeah, pretty much you're always choosing influence with honor, because influence is just way more powerful than +1 armor. But in this case, defense, I mean, if you think about a 5-1, even a good 6-tack character on average is only going to hit them twice, and then the 1 armor knocks down to 1. How many characters can do a whole lot with 1 hit? I mean, maybe generate momentum if you're lucky, but in some cases it could be a tackle and something, and if they don't have the ball, then you're really just doing nothing, or you're doing 1 non-momentous damage, and that's not a lot to be scared of from someone that's even a high attack character.
Which is, and then while you've got gutter up there, that's another, that momentous 1-on-1 is crazy. That makes it, for me personally, I don't mind wading through crowds, and she's kind of built for it. I don't mind facing a crowd out, or even 2 crowd outs, with that momentous 1 in there, and then the odd, and if I charge in there, now I can pull off Scything Blow, which Scything Blow with the 2-inch melee is going to be crazy. Just watch out. I've accidentally killed coin by getting Scything Blow off a couple too many times. But I was like, whatever, it's worth it. I'm killing 2 of your guys. I don't mind. The snake can be gone. It was late enough.
It's actually a pretty big thing, especially when playing Veteran Rage, because Veteran Rage wants to play off of making her attack, and then his bloody coin is all based off of you gain bonus damage if like other Union models are engaging the target, but it actually becomes a huge positioning like puzzle, if you will, because she has 2-inch reach, and so you have to have the model engaged, but also not be within range of her. And sometimes that's actually hard to pull off. So that kind of makes it interesting. But that said, 2-inch reach, Scything Blow is an amazing ability. Obviously, you don't want to take it against if you're playing against Midas, but otherwise, it's amazing.
But here's the thing, like I don't know. Somebody joked about it on the internet the other day. Like, yeah, you don't want to take Scything Blow against Midas, but you still want to take Gutter.
Basically,
I'm kind of in that camp. I'm like, you know what? I would still take that trade-off. I would still be okay with that. And
I mean, people say the same thing about unmasking, and my opinion is that as long as you know that you just need to prevent them from being able to take it turn 1. After that, it becomes really hard, because if I take Gas as a Mortician's player, and turn 2, you have to invest 6 influence unless you have someone else hit him first to get rid of like the fear. Like, I don't care if you take unmasking. Like, you spent like half your influence in the turn, like, and Midas is doing nothing turn 2, which means I can probably respond and beat him up or do whatever the heck else I want for that turn. Then I just have to play a spacing game. But I mean, other than that, like, you can actually do a lot of work if he has to spend 6 of his 7 just to take unmasking in a further turn. So as long as you just play the game of like, okay, need to make sure that he doesn't take it turn 1, and then after that you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, I think she's that good. I'd leave her in against Midas. But so the way I've been playing this really is I'm paying the most attention to the proximity of these 4 models, because this is like my brute squad. These 3 right here, they're the ones that I'm trying to keep in the scrum. They're the ones that are going to be scoring the bulk of your takeouts. But don't forget too that in a pinch, you've got kicking in here. Don't forget, like, these guys can break loose. And think about the idea that you've got, with 2-inch melee being such a big deal in the game, you've got 2-inch melee there. You got 2-inch melee here. You've got 2-inch melee on the dang snake. So you've got a big footprint with those models, and then you have this model kind of sneaking around, doing her damage, and with her in the Union team, I really haven't used Second Wind all that often. I haven't had to yet. And I'm thinking about, okay, if I did do Second Wind on her, it would probably be an early turn Second Wind on, probably one of my ball handling models. So I could do Second Wind on Snakeskin, or I could do Second Wind on Mist, which, both of which are going to be really, really cool first turn things to do. But I don't, well, that's not true. I've used Second Wind on them on one of those 2 models when they're coming in from being taken out. I'll Second Wind on them just to get them back into the play. But it's not, it's not the most efficient thing to do that at that stage in the game. It's only like if the other guy really, really put the ball in a horrible place in the field, and your only shot is to come in off of a sideline and take care of it. I'll do that. So yeah. So anyway, the way I've been running this, like I said, these 3 really kind of being, these 4 models, because I scored a takeout with Coin last night, which was amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, what happened was I was playing against Scalpel, and Scalpel was beaten up on Gutter and was taking influence from Gutter. I had no influence on Coin, and he loaded up Coin with 2 influence. So, and I had Commanding Aura up, and I softened up the target. So I was like, okay, so Coin goes. These models have gone already. Coin does Bag of Coffers, charges in, really, really short playbook. I think I wrapped like 3 or 4 times with the commanding aura up, and then attacked again, and it ended up being like 12 damage total.
Oh yeah,
taking the model.
Those 2 long playbooks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, with commanding aura up, like without commanding aura, not as scary. With commanding aura up, actually pretty scary because it's 2 damage on 1 hit. So yeah, that's brutal.
I haven't used hamstring yet, but there's one that you could use on, let's say, if Coin were to have the ball. That's a fun little trap there, right? Because let's say you have protect your balls, which sadly we're not going to be talking about this stuff in a couple of weeks. Not sadly. What am I talking about? I'm excited.
Bring in the new.
Yeah, but let's say you have protect your ball. Here's a Cameron thing. You could totally do this to Chris because you give Coin the ball, right? And especially Fish, somebody's going to come by and figure, oh, okay, I'm going to tackle the ball from Coin. So they'll tackle the ball. Don't forget, Coin's got a 2-inch reach. So pretty much no matter who comes in, except for maybe Mallet, you're going to be able to play your card. So they come in, they tackle it, and then you counter. You can proc your hamstring off of, 2?
Yeah, it's momentous.
You proc your hamstring off of 2 on the free counter attack. And then it's like, okay, yeah, go ahead and go now. Good luck kicking the goal. I did something very similar with Mallet and Smash Shins when somebody tried to take the ball from Mallet. Having Coin do that, though, is super funny, though.
Yeah, because they don't expect to lose movement, which can make you, forward movement from most characters is completely debilitating, especially against Brewers, obviously, but they're like, they want to beat you up, so it's fine. But against like fast, quick teams like Fish or Alchemist, it's definitely a big hit to basically be like, you lose 4 of your movement. It's like half. Or you move 2 inches without on a jog.
Nice. Okay, so this is the team. I was half tempted, and if I am going to buy a model specifically to build the team, I'm probably gonna put Fangtooth in. One, because I love the model, and I just love the whole idea of Fangtooth. I think he's hilarious. He's a good fit for the team. I would sadly probably give her the boot. I don't know though. I don't know. I know I'm giving up like a really, really crazy good striker, but I might just play it like that with Fangtooth. I might.
Well, it depends on what team you want to play, right? If you want to play like a takeout team, it makes sense that Snakeskin's an option because when you go against scoring teams, you can just basically be like, okay, play keep away and I isolate and beat the crap out of you. And then if you, the only reason Miss is good is similar to why you throw her into a Mortician's team is like, it's just an easy like release valve to gain 4 victory points if you need it to win the game or end the game. And you can use him in that way. And 2-inch reach is really nice, which is the other part of it.
Yeah, 2-inch reach on a where'd they go player like Shank and him is really amazing.
But yeah, I love Fangtooth. I'm a huge fan of taking him even in Morts. I take him with Gast, even like have a double big guys lineup, and it's a ton of fun because you have double unmasking potential. And Fangtooth in general is just ridiculous because like. You look at his playbook, and it's knockdown, blood, which is like, whatever. But then you have 2 damage knockdown or 2 damage if you really want to. I don't know why you'd ever choose Momentous 2 damage because you can still do the knockdown. The knockdown just doesn't go off. It's just the same thing.
Like, so, no,
it's a weird. And then a Momentous unmasking on 4, which is great. But a Momentous knockdown on 1, it just means that like doesn't matter what their defense is, you're probably going to knock them down. And then with Gluttonous Mass, if they don't have 2-inch reach, that essentially means that it's kind of like Honor's opportunity strike. Yeah, it's exactly like that because if they're 1-inch, they can't do anything to you. It's gonna fail. So when you counterattack, you're knocking them down, which is gonna force them to spend momentum or not attack you until they can generate a momentum to go in and make the play.
Yeah, now Fangtooth becomes a really and he's just a crazy good control piece too because he has that foul odor Foul Odor plus his Gluttonous Mass plus all the momentous knockdown on one just makes him crazy good as a control piece. My one concern with running him in this particular squad is he might, with this kind of being the hit squad, I'm going to have to be really mindful of where I keep him in relation to that unit, right? And in some cases, that can actually keep him more isolated from where the main scrum is and kind of ineffectual. So yeah, that's my concern. The other thought is, I am playing this for fun. I could throw Minx in because I think the model. I also really like Minx or Hemlock. I love those two models. Hemlock
I love Minx's model.
Minx would be fun because that's another fast damage dealer. Hemlock, I think it would be kind of cool because now I have a support piece behind my hit squad, and so if I were to run, and then I could really consider the snakeskin part. But I love the model so much, I'm gonna have to keep her in. I don't know. I know it's like snakeskin does not get a whole lot of love from people, but I really like that mod. I may have to keep her in.
Yeah, her model is I like it, and I also again like your paint scheme a lot with her. So
let's take a little half-second break here on the whole tactics thing and talk about. Dave asked us to plug the SoCal Guild Ball calendar. So for you guys in Southern California, you can go to SoCalGuildBall.com. This is the website that Dave put up to kind of store all of our information for our local SoCal Guild Ball community. So we have all of our events on the calendar there. And the next event coming up is Kingdom Con. I can't believe it took me a second to come up with that. I'm like super amped for Kingdom Con.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we have a couple of events at Kingdom Con. We've got Friday night, Dave is doing it's more of like a new player casual scrum where you can show up, get a game demo. If you haven't played before, you can meet a bunch of new players or just players in the area, play some pickup games, and just get your head around the game, play in a more relaxed environment. This is Kingdom Con, so there will be drinking involved.
So I've heard this is my first Kingdom Con.
Oh, you've never been to? Oh, wow. Yeah,
I've never been, but I basically was like, yeah, I'm going to like a Guild Ball tournament at this convention in San Diego, and my buddy who's a huge War Machine player is like, you mean Kingdom Con? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. It's like there's like basically like a giant like tabletop nerd party, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like fun. So
yeah,
I'm really excited to go down. It sounds like it's just going to be like a blast.
I've been going to Kingdom Con for 4 years now. Yeah, 4 or 5 years, I forget. Like pretty much when it started, and Kingdom Con has it's really kind of like it's like a house party feel to it. That's what we call it. We call it the house party of gaming cons, right? Because it's really that atmosphere. Have you met Ross yet, Callan?
No,
okay.
No.
You'll meet Ross. Is kind of like he's in gaming circles. You can connect everybody you've ever met in gaming to Ross in some way or other. That's kind of his personality. And so Kingdom Con really is it's like more of a party atmosphere, which is awesome. But then you also have some pretty pretty gaming going on. So you've got War Machine Weekend, obviously. And then this year we're bringing Guild Ball, and pretty awesome. The tournament I'm running Saturday is sold out. We still have an alternate list running, but so that's going to be awesome. But yeah, like I was saying, Friday night is the casual get together, play some demos, play with people in this group. I have another event that I have to run till about 10, but for sure I'm hopping in after that. Once my other event's over, I'll play some Guild Ball with you guys. I'm actually running Ninja All-Stars at 6 Friday. So if you want to play like Blood Bowl Light with ninjas, stop by for that. So that should be interesting. But in addition to that, and the Saturday tournament, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there like right when it opens Thursday. And my plan is really just to get in like almost a day and a half or almost 2 full days of just playing games that I want to play, like friendly games. So everything that I normally play, including Guild Ball, I know I'll be playing a lot of Guild Ball over the weekend, but also the other games that I play, like Relic Knights, Wrath of Kings. What else am I bringing? I don't remember. I'll bring a few board games with me. So yeah, if you're going to Kingdom Con, even if you didn't make it, what I'm saying is, even if you're not on the sold out tournament, bring your Guild Ball, or at least bring your interest in Guild Ball, because there's going to be a lot of it being played over the weekend. And if you are, I still think there may be some dropouts, mainly because it's Saturday morning at Kingdom Con, and I just finished explaining that there's a lot of drinking at Kingdom Con.
I hear that's actually kind of what happened at Adepticon as well. Is like people fell off like at a certain point.
Yeah. So hang out. If hang out, there's actually a reasonable chance you can get a spot in the tournament. This is a sanctioned tournament, and I got shipping confirmation on our prize support today. So crossing my fingers, it should make it here just in time.
Yeah. Also, like for those that are also maybe intimidated, like maybe you're new to Guild Ball or you haven't had a ton of games, like I highly recommend to jump into tournaments. That's actually my first real 6v6 games. Is like some guy was like, "Here, play my fish," like for 3 rounds, and like that was actually my first real games, and it was a really awesome learning experience, because you also find too the people you play against and play with are going to be really welcoming as well. And so like at the very least, like you said, come down, play the scrimmages, hang around. Like there's going to be games playing of all sorts of stuff that you can check out. Guild Ball also as well, but like it's worth, like if you're at all thinking like, oh well, maybe it's going to be too hardcore for me, like it's worth it. Even if you like lose games, like chances are Guild Ball is so new in our scene, like there is still even some new players within that group that may show up, or like they're not going to be like these like killer veterans. They're just going to wipe the floor with you, or at least they'll be nice about what happens. But for the most part, again, like highly recommend the experience. Don't be afraid, dive in.
Right. Well, I know for a fact that there's at least 2 or 3 people signed up for the tournament that haven't really even played full games yet.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, just hop in. Since it's your first year going to Kingdom Con, I'll give you one quick little bit of advice when you get there.
Okay.
Go check out when you first get there. Depending on doesn't matter what day. After you pick up your badge, go into this little closet called the Vault. It's like right next to registration. Go into the Vault and browse, see what they have, because they have some really cool like limited edition stuff in the Vault. Typically there may be some Guild Ball stuff in there. I don't know, it might get snatched up. But
so you're saying show up there Thursday in the morning is what you're saying?
I think Thursday at 3 when it starts, but go check that out, because they have a token system in Kingdom Con. So events that you play in, game demos that you get, and that kind of thing, those all amount to tokens, and then you can spend those tokens getting the goodies out of the Vault. So that's my friendly little tip. And then don't drink too much. That's the other part of the tip.
I actually think this is actually probably going to be the first tournament that I've played here still, because I've always had something come up or whatever for events. So I haven't actually got a chance to play it. So I'm excited. This and the Guacamole Cup I signed up for. So that's like another event that's
I'm so mad I don't get to play in that.
Yeah, I called with the quick as soon as he's like it's limited. I was like, oh crap, I didn't do that. So I called with the quickness and got signed up. So I'm excited for that as well. But Kingdom Con's first, so super amped to go.
Filled up quick.
Yeah, it's 16 players, which is pretty awesome.
What about GameX? Are you planning on going to that one?
So yes, I am. The question, so the thing I'm still playing around is I have to check with my wife because that's her birthday weekend. So and also we may travel to Washington, so that'll be there. But if there's still spots open too, I also forgot I need to plug it with my local LA peeps, especially at Riot, to see if they want to go, because we have a bunch of guys that are really hardcore into it right now. So I'm sure they'd love to go, especially if it's local.
It would be great to get that one sanctioned. I think that's going to be hard though. It's that one's because LA is such a untested ground right now.
Yeah.
We're going to try for it, but I don't know. I think for sure Guacamole Cup will be sanctioned because they're already that registration is already full. But I'm not sure about GameX.
Well, I'll see what I can rally. Also, I've reached out to Paul, who's the other pundit in LA. So I'm gonna see if we can actually start getting demos going because he said he was like, hey, there's gonna be SoCal Guild Ball group. Does anybody want to play in LA? And then I never heard anything. So today I actually finally linked back up with him and talked to the store that he was planning to run at. And so now we're currently formulating plans to start running demos there and around the LA area so we can actually get that scene going because I talked to the shops and there's a bunch of people that say, hey, people are mentioning it. It's obviously really big down where you guys are and spreading like wildfire everywhere. So we just need to get started in LA and we should be good.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I gotta take it down a little bit. I forgot. This room is a little bit easier to transmit sound versus the rest of the house. So gotcha. I'm gonna bring the microphone in a little bit closer and then turn my indoor voice down a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, that's those are the next events that are up. Oh, the other thing, David's pointing out here on the chat, he's going to be in on Thursday, and then all open gaming for him on Thursday and Sunday. So for sure, even if you're not registered or signed up for anything during Kingdom Con, there's going to be a lot of Guild Ball available to be played. So definitely go check that out. So yeah, speaking of tournaments, we did. So I had an event last weekend that was over at my LGS Comic Quest, and this was like a kickoff type event. So we did kickoff events. We did one at Brookhurst. That was, I think, the first one that we did, and then we did one down in Vista at Paradise. And these were like new player events, right? I don't even think we had product in either of those stores when we did it, but it was sort of like, let's get together game. The one at Paradise they put together kind of an impromptu tournament, and they played, 3 games to 8 points or whatever, right? And so that was the plan going into Comic Quest this past weekend was, okay, well, we have product on the shelves, and people can show up, they can play games, they can play demos or whatever. And the people who showed up for the tournament were all pretty much veteran players, which was interesting. So we had people show up to play in the tournament, and we had an uneven number, and it was like, well, there's not a lot of there weren't really new players walking in to get demos or anything. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna hop in and play Ringer in this tournament. And so the original idea was, okay, well, I'll play this lineup, right? But looking at the group of guys, and especially like we did the first round matchups, and I was matched up against Dave. I'm like, you know what, I want to play real games. Like learning this team would be cool, but I haven't played by Masons in like any kind of prolonged gaming situation. So anything longer than, just a one-off game. So what I did was I took my Mason squad and I took the same 6 every game. So I took Honor Marbles, Mallet, Flint, Brick, and Decimate, right? So that's that's kind of my all-comers team. And I was like, you know what? These guys they're veteran players here. I'm going to play Ringer, and we'll just, see what happens. So played the first game against Dave's Butchers. That was a really fun game. We didn't really, I think I only scored 1 goal in that game. So that was a lot of bashing in that game. So kind of playing a little bit more towards Dave's strengths, but I did manage to get a goal in there. And I think that's kind of what put me over the top in that particular game. So that was a really fun game. And so after there were 8 players. So at the end of the first round, I won a game. Leon, who's won like the last 2 tournaments with his fish, he won a game. Corey won a game. And who's the other player? I think Chris won a game with his union. So I was doing matchups, and now I'm sort of conflicted, right? Because, when you play Ringer, or at least my whole ever since I've done like game hosting and promoting, when I play Ringer, I just play like fun games and kind of play more casual. Not saying that I throw the game, but I don't really I don't play a really hard game. Against Dave, though, I wanted to, right? Because we're both pundits. Let's just play a full game. But now I'm in a quandary because I won the game, and now I'm like, man, I'm in this 8-player scenario. I'm in the top tier. I don't really want to screw around with the tournament results too much. So we had a lunch break and everything, and I'm talking to Corey, one of the other players. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of in a bad situation because I'll be matched up against another player who won last round. And if I should happen to win that game, now I'm like en route to winning my own tournament. If I kind of pull back, or if I throttle back a little bit, now I've kind of artificially affected the outcome of the tournament.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of conflicted at this point. Like, it's not fair either way. What would be fair is if I play the full game, and win or lose, whatever, I'll still stay up there, and I'll just opt out of all the price support, right? And that was kind of what we agreed on. So the second game, I got paired up with Leon's fish. Leon at this point is somewhat terrified of my Masons team because in our like one-off games, he has constantly struggled against them. I've always had some sort of tech or some way of slowing him down just enough to score the takeouts that I need and keep up on the goal side, and win games against Leon. So he's pretty terrified at that point. He ran a Corsair unit, which I thought was really good. It was, let me see if I can recall. It was Corsair, Grayscale's Jack, Angel, and Gutter. So kind of a smaller team, but with Corsair in there, kind of providing sturdy and the incredible ball control. And now he's adding some legitimate damage with Gutter to that crew. That ended up being a really, really good game as well. I ended up clocking out on the very last one of my activations and winning that game 12-8. I should also point out too, with my game against Dave, I think I only had like 3 minutes left on my clock in the first game. So I'm like paying attention to my clock now. Wow, I got to watch this whole clocking out stuff. That's gonna bite me towards the end. But anyways, ended up winning that game 12-8. I think I had 2 goals, 2 takeouts that game. And so now I'm like 2-0 in my own tournament. And then the third round, so now I'm paired up with Corey, Corey's Mortician. So he's another guy. And I would say right now locally, like in the Orange County, San Diego area, those 2 guys, Leon and Corey, have kind of been the top of the player curve, right? Because Leon's won the past couple of tournaments, and Corey's sitting on top of the league that's going on down at Paradise. So anyway, so third game was with Corey and his Morticians, and he has gotten a lot better with his Morticians recently. That was a super, super tough game. I don't remember. I think I had still two. It was 2 goals. I had 2 goals and 1 takeout, and we both ended up clocking out towards the end of that game. And I actually won it off of the VPs off clockouts. So I won that game 12-10. So that was a super close game. But, that was really, I kind of looked ahead and I was like, in a way, I felt really good about being able to play that because I'm probably not going to be able to play in the Guacamole Cup, and this may be my only quote unquote tournament experience that I get for a while. But yeah, it was really, really good. I had a really good time. The players, nobody was really. I don't know what your take on this is, but the players weren't really upset about it. They're like, "Hey, let's play some competitive games, and whoever ends up winning ends up winning." So I opted out of prize support. Corey and Leon ended up splitting the prize there, which was just store credit. But yeah, that was fun, man. Every single game I played was really intense. Was a lot of fun. I'm just really glad I got in a decent tournament experience out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it seems like as long as the players are cool with it, like I mean, I'm all for it. I think that because the other thing you run too is like if you were like, hey, I'm gonna play some serious games, you're Masons, and then like let's say you auto lose and head down the bracket, then you're actually then playing potentially the players that aren't as good, and then you kind of almost beat up on them. I've heard other tournaments too where they've done a similar thing where they've had the person go up the bracket. Still do a similar thing where like they don't opt into prize support, like the matches just play out, they get the points, but you still advance as if you won though, so that you're making it difficult. I mean, and there's like pros and cons to both, but I mean, as long as the players are on board and then like, hey, like do it. And I think that it's a cool experience for you, especially because the one thing when you are the tournament organizer is the thankless job is like you are also the person that gets to play in tournaments the least because you're the one organizing and running them. And like luckily there's other pundits and multiple people running stuff, but it just happens to be the case that it's like, yeah, if you're typically the person running events, you don't play it. Same with me when I ran league tournaments. Like I rarely got to play in a tournament, so it was a really big deal for me whenever I got a chance to. So yeah,
and two, I think with this particular like group of players, I think they all kind of wanted to see let's break out the good teams and push each other and see how what kind of games we can get out of it. So I think that was the right environment. I don't think I would have done that if it were if we had new players and it was a casual tournament, then I think it would be totally inappropriate to try something like that. But in this case, I think it was fine. And I think that the play experience was good. Hopefully it was good for everybody that I got to play against. And my feedback has been, it's been, they really enjoyed the games. So, but yeah, I was just super happy to be able to play like 3 games in a row, like 3 competitive games in a row with people whom I considered to be really good players. And our scene being brand new, we're all still learning, but I would say that the 3 guys I played were definitely really strong players. So yeah, that was good times, man. My personal schedule after I think my last scheduled event is GameX, and then I know Dave is running Guacamole Cup in June, and then they're planning on having another tournament in Vista in July. So I will get some opportunities, maybe late summer or whatever, to try and play in something. But then once my second born comes in October, man, all bets are off.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like on a timeline, to try to get in some more gaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a full schedule of stuff over the summer, and I don't know. I'm really excited. I think next week is going to be incredible. Hopefully Hammer comes in on time because I'd love to get him painted up and ready to go so I can just play some open games with him at Kingdom Con. I want to kind of figure out what that team looks like with him in it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we'll be under the season 2 guild plots and stuff by that point too, right? Because the 26th is the official release of season 2. Or is it now technically?
No, you're right. It is the 26th, I believe, is the
The new release date, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll actually be playing season 2 plots technically by then. So that'll actually be like a very interesting tournament in the sense that like people will be playing with stuff that you're normally not used to in a lot of ways. So that'll be fun.
You know what? We haven't even really decided. I guess we don't. I guess we are playing season 2, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a sanctioned tournament, then it should be.
That's true, huh? So this would wow.
I just thought of that.
I better get ready to start printing out some cards then.
Yeah, I mean, I have a set coming as well, just for myself, so I'll have my set at the very least.
But yeah, we better print those cards out. It'll be interesting too because it's like I think it'll be a somewhat level playing field, considering nobody's really seen the cards, or used them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, I just thought of it now because I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like it'll be technically be right after that. But as soon as you mentioned Hammer, I was like, oh yeah, like all that stuff is coming out right before that. So that'll be exciting. That's another kind of like exciter, at least for the tournament. It's like, oh, it's gonna be like the first tournament on season 2 rules and all that stuff.
I also think what I may do here in Orange County when we're back from Kingdom Con is I may actually look at running the campaign rules.
Oh yeah, I think that's a total win to start one of those.
Now in Orange County right now the players are kind of flaky, so we've got people that do play, but they're in school or on breaks or other things.
Yeah.
But hopefully when we bring the campaign in, that should be an interesting thing, and we can get some involvement there. Plus hunters.
Oh God, yeah.
So let's see.
Well, yeah, technically, someone should show up with hunters, right?
Yeah, if they picked up
Kingdom Con.
Yeah, if they were either at Salute or managed to get one at Adepticon, or for whatever reason, if they get like a shipping confirmation on their hunters and get it, then yes. And I did notice on my shipping confirmation, it did not include the hunter. Let me double check. Did that include the 6-man hunter?
Because that'd be another giant curveball. You just like show up and someone's just like, boom, hunters. Like, wow. I've only seen theory crafting on them, and my buddy was so excited he actually made his own standees for them and has been play testing them. So,
oh wow! So yeah, it looks like my shipping confirmation that what was dispatched is just the season 2 rulebook, season 2 plot cards and tokens, and then I ordered 3 captains, and I did not order scalpel. So I got smoked.
How dare you!
I know. I'm sorry, I haven't done anything in the direction of morticians.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Obelisk is like his own box that when you start morticians, you should just basically start with that and then work scalpel in there because like he's his own like adventure. I've actually had a lot of fun with her. Like my fun list was similar to the list that you played against the other day with your union team, where you just run all the furious people and scalpel.
Yeah,
I've actually had a lot of fun with that team because you can actually do a lot of fun hit and run stuff. You can dislodge people that have engaged them to turn furious back on. You can do a lot of fun tricks. But it is a fun team. But that was what I was gonna plan to play if I came down to the tournament you guys had.
I had a tough time with this particular lineup that's on camera because I don't have a tank in there. So like it would be great to just keep somebody stuck in with the with like Minx and Rage and who's that, Cosset.
Yeah.
But with 3 players with Furious, you just can't check them all and try to do and try to win the game at the same time. So you're going to be facing at least 1 or more than likely 2 free charges from that lineup. So, but
and the thing I love about that lineup too is they all provide their own. So they all theoretically provide their own influence on top of their charges because they're all 2/2 or 1/1. And then you have And then you have Scalpel plus Dirge, so that's like 5 of 6 influence if you want to load up Scalpel. And then your next player can be an auxiliary player. Like if you throw in Silence, then Silence has 2 and Scalpel's fully loaded. So theoretically, like your team's like loaded with influence like all the time. It's actually really good.
So you mentioned that you wouldn't run Graves with that team.
Yeah.
Well, why is that?
So I feel like the cool part is that with Scalpel not needing a ton, you could load up Graves. And like the hard part with Graves is that if you play a typical Morticians lineup, you're always going to be questioning whether you can afford to put 4 influence on him versus the other models. I just think in that lineup, if I'm going killy, I don't know. I just feel like Graves adding the 1 influence isn't really what I want. I'd rather have control elements of silence and movement control type stuff. To play with activations. I just think Silence is just a ridiculously strong model. And then at the point where you're like everybody has max influence every turn, besides like and Silence has 2 to do whatever he wants between that with like Shutout, Tuctor, and Embalming Fluid. Like it's actually like a really fun lineup to run. And I feel like Graves only bringing the 1 is like, okay, well I can top out, now a Scalpel if I want to, or on the back end I'd have to take off influence off of the other guys, which is fine. It's perfectly fine and doable. But at the same time, I also think that they're strongest when you can still be able to do things with them even after they engage, or potentially like be able to use their other abilities. So I don't know. That's just my that's just my opinion of how it works. But you can definitely go a route where you actually give Scalpel less, and then you and you dish actually the 4 over to Graves, and then you run it that way. That actually works just fine. Because Scalpel can play that, but I don't know. The fact that you can have everybody loaded up and Scalpel can actually do quite a bit of work, especially if you tool her up. Like Momentous 3 damage and like reallocating influence to like Salt is like the greatest feeling ever. Like
that is true, huh?
Yeah, it's like here you go, buddy. It's your time to shine, Salt.
I don't know. I think there's good. I think once I don't even remember the name of their new mascot. When that new mascot's out, I don't think we will see Salt.
Yeah, it's sad, man. Salt is really ridiculously mobile and could theoretically score you a goal, but other than that, like he doesn't really do anything except for Loved Creature. For some reason, they like are not. They're too blunt force trauma and kill him early in a turn, and you get advantage. Because honestly, the biggest part about Loved Creature is the 2/2 movement. Like making fish more mobile is a pain in the butt. Like that's actually the part that when you love Creature, it's not the +2 attack, it's not the 2 momentum, it's literally just like giving them 2 more movement is just already just like, oh my gosh. It's like sprinting the entire field and you're just like crying. But my favorite part about Love Creature as a Morticians player is when I kill Salt, I just pop Obvious' legendary and then take whatever extra is left over plus the 2 momentum, and it's like, yay! Like, and they're just like, that sucks.
Didn't you get plus tack also on the Love Creature?
Yeah, so you get +2 tack and you get +2 movement. Although with fish, like I'm actually not too worried about them having high tack. I think Corsair is probably one of the few that is like he starts to wrap, he actually does quite a bit of damage, so he's a problem. But otherwise, most of the other fish, it's like it's such a struggle for them to do anything meaningful that I don't really care giving them +2 tack in that faction. In that faction, like yeah, they'll generate momentum like they normally do, but whatever.
Yeah, and a lot of people like they just work around Love Creature. They just do it right at the end of the turn and not care.
Yeah, that or conditions is really good.
I should point out that that Marbles died in 2 out of the 3 games. That made me very, very sad. And he was early. He was taken out early. And that hurts me quite a bit because I do like to run Marbles in. You know, he's a pretty big part of my my bash game with Honor. That's a pretty big piece there.
Yeah, the assist buff plus tooled up. Is so strong, so strong. Like it's like it makes him basically one of the best mascots, if not the best mascot.
Yeah, I still consider him the best mascot in the game. Yeah, I think so Coin good. For sure, also one of the best mascots.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably put Flask in there too. I like Flask quite a bit.
Flask is cool. I think there's like a lot that become really high priority targets and liabilities. I joke that like Scum is like the cat incarnation of Obulus, that because he has like shadow like and unpredictable movement.
Yeah.
But the thing is like if you kill Scum, then like Brewers, if they're a tapper led team, are like in such a hole at that point because they lose essentially two influence and the activation. But in general, the activation is like the huge part. Unless you're unless you're engineers or morticians, like you don't have a way to bring back your mascots. So losing the activation actually becomes a huge thing on top of the fact that you're usually losing one influence. But Scum makes it even worse because you're typically keeping Scum within 4 inches of tapper and making it generate an extra influence and that kind of stuff to keep them up to par.
Yeah, and Scum to me just it when I look at that model, all I think of that model is just designed to discourage you to attack it. That's really
yeah.
It's just supposed to be a discouraging model, like the stupid cat.
Yeah. And then he can do a bunch of damage too. He has like the similar commanding aura shenanigans where if like you're not paying attention, like he can go in with commanding aura and deal a ton of damage on a charge. With short playbooks. Actually, a lot of Brewers can do that, which like that's actually the biggest part about getting Tapper in a good location, similar to Ox, and getting commanding aura up, because the rest of the Brewers all have like really great damage buffs, like between like Hooper with knockdown targets and just short playbooks is like their thing. So you charge, you usually get a wrap, and you deal a lot of damage really quickly.
So I might save this for next time. Actually, I might save this then for next time, but I want to talk about it anyways because I want to probably head out here in like the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah,
but,
sounds good.
I want to talk about engineers because at least locally we really haven't seen an engineer's presence. Kevin has been playing engineers, and Kevin's a really good player. I play a lot of other skirmish games with him. But I noticed he's been struggling a little bit with them. And then I played Pinvice last night, and I am also like kind of scratching my head as far as how this team actually works. So for me, like the two things that really stand out with the engineers is they've got really good kick stats. They've got some durable strikers in there. But man, like momentum generation to me looks like it's a problem with the team, especially without the ball. And then just trying to figure out, because they don't have like the on-demand dodges, like where'd they go and that kind of stuff. Like you're trying to figure out the pacing of that team is interesting. So I know you've been working on engineers too. Like what's your experience with them?
So similar, and like the team I was talking about earlier when I was talking about Decimate, engineers, man. Second win, really awesome. And also then you get a player that has tons of dodges and momentous damage early in her playbook. It's super quick too, which like they're like okay speed, like but like Ballista and some of those other guys are slower, like 5'7". So Decimate is definitely a character you can work into your lineup to kind of give you that advantage. You also have Gutter if you really wanted to. They can generate momentum and pull people in. Also really good with Minefield. If you get a turn where Ballista has Minefield up and you're already in range to like start pulling people in, that'll deal extra damage because you're moving them, so you get like the 1 damage extra bonus of that. There's a lot of fun things you can do. You can even throw Rage it. Like it's really weird that you can almost run this like this union like engineers team. Where where you have like Rage come in, Rage like gives like it start tools up your range guys, you start to deal damage. But I agree, like with Ballista, the problem is like what do you do past turn 2? Like turn 1's usually always gonna be great with your range stuff if it lands. And you're gonna be great, but then after that you're kinda like, what's the next step? Pinvice definitely plays more of the like I'm gonna play football part of it, but you also kind of have like the trade-offs with like the damage and the abilities, which is kind of its own thing. And then like setting up the passing chain is really cool, but it's also like not necessarily the easiest thing. Like she takes a lot more finesse. I haven't got enough games in with Pinvice to actually fully have a good handle of her either.
Yeah.
But they do have a few combos that are annoying, and a few characters I think are really good. Like if you want to do mainspring bombs over and over again, that gets really old really fast for your opponents, because 3 damage and burning, like you're slowing them all, and then you're just like bringing back the mascot and just like throwing into them, and you give them like the overclock, the 2 VP the first time, but then every time after that you're just like sending in these 3 damage like sort of like pseudo like scything blows that also catch everybody on fire, which is not fun. The only downside to that is like Ratchet himself is not like necessarily the greatest player ever, but he does have some cool control stuff, like being able to throw down rough ground and stuff like that. I also think Colossus is amazing because like he's really fast for a big guy. He gives you 2-3 for influence, and then ramming speed super underrated, because he's able to actually like dislodge and free up players, which is actually part, because like whenever he touches bases he pushes them 2 inches directly away, which is sometimes you can use that to actually free up him or other players. And he has close control for big guy, which is awesome. And he's light-footed, so he goes over rough ground. Yeah, everything about him is like a super fast mobile big guy, which is awesome. And then he can also free up, because like the main thing when you look at them, like you said, is like if they get engaged upon, their playbooks are just kind of like they're okay, but like you're just like like I don't know.
It's hard to put together meaningful damage if you stay within guild. That's kind of how I've taken it. The other thing is, like, when I first looked at putting my team together, which is a Pinvice led team, I was looking at all the kick stats, and I was like, okay, so with everybody kind of being a 4-6 or maybe 1-4-8 in there, I'm kind of looking at that stat. Like when I see 4-6, I think about somebody who can kick in traffic, right? So if that person has, if that person's engaged by one model, their kick is still 3-6 or 3-8 or whatever. That's still reasonably good. And so I kind of look at that lineup like, okay, this is a team that could handle the ball in traffic. Their strikers are durable enough to hang out in the thick of things, at least for a short time, before they get wiped out. But then it comes down to, because they don't have it, to me, I kind of have a hard time eyeballing the whole, I'm going to come in, take possession of the ball, and get out and score in the same activation. I kind of see that as more difficult with the engineers because of the fact that they don't have like a where'd they go. They don't have a super shot. I could be wrong. Somebody has super shot, right?
No, I think Velocity doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Velocity is just like one of the best, again, like up there with like a snake skin in faction, where you have close control, reanimate, and you could nimble to go to 6 defense, which is like, was like good luck. Like killing the striker, let alone like taking the ball, is not going to be super easy either.
Right. So where you have like, I'm used to like the whole Flint, Mist, even like Shank, like where you have players that can come in at range, cover a good distance, tackle the ball, slide out or dodge out, and still have the range to kick a goal in the same activation. I'm not seeing that kind of potential in the engineers. Instead, I'm seeing more of a we're going to stay close to danger, kind of footballing in, and we can kick in traffic. And so that's totally my theory. That I've only played the one game I had with them, and I can't really say that worked out too well. I did end up, scoring 2 goals, 2 takeouts, but the goals were really kind of stretching the board out and getting isolation for like a hoist or a velocity, as opposed to playing the way I thought they played. Colossus, I can see, and that's another like kind of another reinforcing argument there, is the fact that Colossus he seems like he's built for traffic, and that he can, he's mobile, and he's got good kick, he's got close control, he's like built, and the 2-2 with tough hide, like he's built to tank in there, but also tank with the ball. So that's kind of my theory around how those players work, especially with Pinvice in there. But I have not, to date, I haven't gotten that yet to to really work. I haven't. I guess the fact is I really haven't visualized exactly how that's going to work. It just seems like that's how it would play.
They're really interesting to me because they're a striking team, or essentially they're a football team that is not super good at actually scoring. Like they don't have, like you said, they don't have where they go. They don't have like all those mobility things where you're like, oh, like he's gonna like this is how he's gonna go and score. Colossus can obviously do it pretty well, I think, out of a lot of them. But I think that and you have velocity as well. But I think the thing to them is like they're actually a striking team, but just has like amazing ball control, like close control, minefields, knockdowns everywhere, range pushes, like all this kind of stuff. That it's like they're almost just like this weird team that's like it's like no, they don't index high on the scoring end of it, but they do on like passing and ball control, and that's kind of how they play their game. The tough part is just like if you don't have a team that can deal with once they get stuck in, that becomes the issue with them. And I think the answer is like probably leveraging a lot of their characters that do have knockdowns, that do have lots of pushes to kind of free them up, and kind of doing it that way. But yeah, it is a rough going because once you get a hold of some of their players like close up, it's brutal.
Yeah, I almost kind of see like Colossus as being kind of like the centerpiece who's holding the ball and drawing the defense in, and then with his close control and ramming speed, being able to kind of move the crowd around a little bit and then kick the ball out and force one of the force a hoist or a velocity out of the crowd to run in and score. I don't know. That's just like my theory hat there. I haven't been able to do anything like that, but that's kind of how I see it. Colossus did pretty well for me in the game last night. I did feel like I wanted a fourth influence on him, but that also feels a little strong.
Yeah, I think that's the other trick with him, right? Because like he could do a lot, but he only has that 3 influence, so you have to make the most of it. But he just like if you want to steal the ball or you want him to hold the ball, it's so hard to deal with him because his counterattacks are all amazing. He has momentous tackle and knockdown and a dodge. Like you can ramming speed just to the goal and push people away from you so that they can't like stop you from like shooting penning reach. But I don't know. It's a pretty cool. I don't know. I like him a lot. I think he's one of the players that when I looked at their team, I'm like, this is a big guy. Like, and he has all these things that are like more normally like given to like a really good striker. I mean, he's kind of like, I mean, he has a lot of stuff that Velocity has, minus reanimate, like with close control and some speed stuff. But
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think that's going to do it for me. Didn't do any painting tonight. I feel lazy, but
hey, it's a fun departure, right? We get to talk about more like a guild ball strategy talk than a painting session, but you get to show off your painting.
Yeah.
Your beautiful painting.
Next week, I may be furiously trying to finish Hammer if he gets in. So I'll turn the camera on for that, and we can talk. We can theory craft Hammer while I'm painting him, and then hopefully show up to Kingdom Con with him. So,
right on.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us again, Callan. It's really awesome. And looking forward to Kingdom Con. And once again, if you guys are just watching this, if you're watching this on a recording and you're in the SoCal area, check out SoCalGuildBall.com for our events. And then, you should, if you haven't done so, you really do need to get to Kingdom Con. And that's really no matter where you are, you should try to get to that con. Super fun convention. And it's going to be a good time. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a good night, guys.